Hello guys, this is a review of Pretty in Pink and Some Kind of Wonderful. This DVD packet is available at Walmart at a very good price. When I saw it, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, they're probably gonna, scan it and it's gonna be like 20 something dollars, but it's not. It's apparently the John Hughes collection, so just the creator of these three wonderful films. I'm not necessarily going to review Ferris Bueller's Day Off because it's the one that I like the least, but we're still going to mention it a little bit. Something that I didn't really know, I read on Wikipedia a few minutes ago when I was trying to double check the names and everything, that there's a lot of drama involved in these last two films, Pretty in Pink and Some Kind of Wonderful, that I'm not really going to get into. But first, let's get started with the plot. We're going to talk about Some Kind of Wonderful first. Some Kind of Wonderful is an 80s romantic comedy drama movie. It's about Keith. Keith is from a hardworking but I think middle to low class family. I would say middle. It's not too bad. And he attends a high school where there's a lot of rich kids and the whole cliques, like just different types of groups. And he's very much attracted to this girl named Amanda. By the way, I forgot to mention, very important, he's best friends with Watts. Watts is a tomboy who enjoys playing the drums. She's always carrying the drumsticks everywhere she goes. And yeah, they're very good friends. Let's talk about everything, but he takes a liking to Amanda, and that's when things kind of go bad because she warns him. Watts is like, she's never going to pay attention to you. She's very superficial. She wouldn't go out with you at all, and even if you had the courage, the audacity to go up to her and ask her on a date, which you don't. But if it so happens, the guy that Amanda was dating, because Amanda isn't rich herself, but she does hang out with the rich kids because she's going out with one of the richest guys and most popular whatever guys in high school. So when they break up, he calls her over because they do it in public. They're at this this gathering, this party or something, and she accepts just to get back at her ex. And everybody finds out, instantly. The whole school the next day, they're like, oh, congratulations man on scoring the date with Amanda, and because everybody thinks that she's the hottest girl in school. Even his own sister cannot believe it. They have a very funny relationship, his sister and him. And then they have a little sister as well that's very intelligent. It's always making comments, unsolicited comments. And what happens next? Let me see, because I'm trying to see how I'm really going to how I'm gonna stack these films, how I'm gonna put them together, I should say. So Amanda's friends, they're rich. They try to help her get out of the date because they recognize that she never wanted to go out with Keith in the first place, so they want to get her out of there. But then Amanda's like, hey, I'm not like you. I know that it did happen at the heat of the moment, but it wasn't premeditated, I'm gonna harm him by lying to him and getting his hopes up. So they end up at near the end of the movie. That's how the movie plays out. There's little scenes in between, and he finds out that it's all a joke. But from his understanding, because his sister overheard Amanda's ex talking about them, she believes that it's a joke from her part as well. So he spends all of his savings that he was supposed to use for college, because that's what his dad wanted. He uses them for 2 earrings, very expensive earrings, an elegant car and a fine dining for Amanda. Then he gives her the rings. She accepts them. They go to the party because Amanda's ex actually invited them to his own house. He's like, you know what, I'm like the bigger person here, come over to the party. And they know that he's planning on jumping him along with his friends, and they know that, but Keith is like, I cannot back down from this over and over and over. So they accept to go. At this point, Watts had already had a falling out with Keith, because she's like, there's literally 3 things that I love in this world: myself, my drums, and you. But this cannot go on any longer. We cannot be seeing each other, because every time I see you, you hurt me, and every time you see me, I hurt you, and we're just not on the same page right now. So I'd rather you keep this positive image of me instead of this thing that we're creating for each other. But then when Keith finds out of the joke, then he goes over to her and apologizes and become friends again. So she becomes like the driver for the date that he has with Amanda. They go to a museum at night, and they go to the Hollywood Bowl. Very beautiful scene, reminded me of what's that movie called with Jim Carrey that I really love and I'm gonna review someday? Yes Man. Beautiful scene, you know, that with Zooey Deschanel. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that they got inspired by this movie. They end up going after he gives her the earrings and she accepts, and this is a very important part of the movie that I cannot forget to mention. He tells her, oh, like, you've used me, just accept it, don't act like you don't know, like you don't know what I'm talking about. She's like, okay, so yeah, in a sense. He's like, you cannot, like, only like a little bit, you either used me or you didn't. He's like, you used me as well. You used me for your reputation, because you didn't have any friends aside from Watts, and now everybody's talking about you because you're going out with the most desirable girl in high school. Tell me that you didn't. He's like, oh, you know what, I guess I did, I'm sorry. So they both realize that they used each other, something that I didn't even realize at the beginning when I was watching the movie. I didn't realize that. I remember watching it and just thinking, like, I think she likes him. I really did think that she liked him, and I think that he liked her. But it's just like the whole situation, and they have like this burden of the popular friends, for example, because she refused to go out with her ex, then her friends stopped talking to her because, you know, her reputation, whatever. So like I was saying from the beginning, they go to her ex's party, and he's like, okay, just take him out and beat him up. He's like, why don't you do it yourself? And he's like, yeah, I'm the host, no, I'll just let them do it. But that's when he invites some friends over, Keith, because he made friends with one of the school bullies, like, you know, like the punk rocker type of guy who hangs out with delinquents. We could like say delinquents, because those type of guys that like get in trouble, that take inappropriate magazines to school, weapons, cigarettes, and etc. You know, that whole deal. They become friends because there's so many things that go on in this movie. Because Keith wanted to go out with Amanda, right? Amanda, he overheard that she got detention, so he set the fire alarm so that he could get detention as well, and in the hopes of speaking to her. But then she flirts with the principal, so she gets out of detention, and then he ends up being there with all the bad kids, and that's when they become friends, because through art they find a bond and whatever. They form a bond, I should say. And when they're at the party, he calls them over, they go there, and it's insinuated that he actually peed his pants, but they don't really show it. Then Amanda goes over and slaps him twice, and it's a very funny scene because the guys are like they can't even believe that happened. They're just, you know, they're just making fun of Amanda's ex, who was being a really, really, really big jerk. When they go out from the house, they see Watts in tears, or on the verge of tears. She's like, hey, you know, you did a good move right there, you know, just kind of sore from sitting on my butt all day, so I'm just gonna walk home. And Amanda reminds Keith of something that she said earlier. She said, I've always been with the wrong people. How does she phrase it? I think she says, I'd rather be with someone for the wrong reasons than alone for the right reasons. She's like, I don't want to be like that anymore. So she takes off the earrings that he gave her that basically sum up to his whole entire life savings, and she tells him go to her, sorry. And he does. He runs over and kisses her, and that's the ending. The reason why I didn't start with Pretty in Pink, even though it is a review of both films, I just want to get into more like the details in my opinion instead of the plot, because I read that they're basically the same thing, just with the genders reversed, which I also didn't realize. I can't believe I didn't. But apparently the director was not satisfied, or like the creator was not satisfied with the ending from Pretty in Pink, so he redid the whole movie with, you know, different characters and whatever. And fun fact, the names like Keith, Watts, and Amanda are supposed to be in honor of the Rolling Stones, like Amanda Jones, the Rolling Stones song, and then the some of the members from the band. And okay, well, first let me get into my opinion on Pretty in Pink. Pretty in Pink is basically Andie Walsh. She's a protagonist, very famous, came out in like The Breakfast Club. Like most of these guys are very well known. Then Duckie, her best friend, dorky, that falls in love with her, kind of like the Watts, but he's more dorky and never really says things straightforward. And Blane is the rich boyfriend, and he takes a liking to Andie, but Andie doesn't really like. She accepts, and obviously Duckie does not believe it at all. Duckie's like, why would you go out with him? Like, he's only trying to use you. He's going to make fun of you. He hangs out with like the rich kids. They go out on a date and everybody makes fun of them to their face. And he invites her to prom, but then he gets the pressure of everybody and, you know, his reputation and trying to keep the cool profile. So he's like, starts avoiding her, and she tells him, why don't you just tell me that you don't want to go out? He's like, it's not that I had already asked somebody before you and I forgot. She's like, you're lying, you're just embarrassed of them seeing us together. And here's the thing about the film is that I think that they both liked each other and they were both genuine, but they just couldn't really express their doubts and fears in an appropriate way. But it's basically, now that I think about it, it is very similar to Some Kind of Wonderful. But yeah, there's a few differences. For example, her mom doesn't live with Andie, or her father, he doesn't have a job, so she's struggling a lot, and she makes her own dresses. That's her Pretty in Pink. The title comes from the dress that she makes in part with the dress that they gave her and like other material that she was given. And in the end, she and Blane end up together, and Duckie goes out and like he finds someone else. Okay, ironically, that's what bothered the creator of the films, is that she ended up with Blane and not Duckie. But in my opinion, I thought that she should have ended up with Duckie. And in Some Kind of Wonderful, I thought that Keith should have ended up with Amanda. Why would he go through the hassle, through all the obstacles, through... This is like, I don't even know why you would like spend your whole life savings. I don't know if they plan on returning them. That's something that I didn't understand. They go into this huge argument, Keith and his father, and he's like, you're only 18, you cannot make these decisions for yourself. And he's like, then I'm 19, then I'm 20, when is my life going to belong to me? Which resonates with me a lot. But he's like, what is the plan? He's like, trust me, you think that I throw everything that I've worked for down the drain? You have to trust me. And the father ends up trusting him, but I don't understand. What's the whole point? Like, was Amanda supposed to say no? I don't think so, because he happily gave him to her. Like, and then he had a feeling, well, Watts had a feeling that she was going to be given the earrings. That's why she picked those instead of other necklaces that Keith had preferred. But I don't know, there's a lot of confusion. If anybody who's seen the movies understands everything that I'm saying. You have to watch them in order to really get it. But yeah, like he went through a lot of things to end up with Watts. Watts had this guy who's the son of a plumber, female plumber. They're talking about feminism and everything. It's very funny because she's like, girls could be different and that's okay. He's like, yeah, my mom's a plumber, like, and I respect her, and he likes her, and I feel like he's so much more like her. He's straightforward, he's honest, he's different, he's unique. And she's also unique and honest and straightforward. They made a much better couple because Keith is just this little sensitive guy who has a lot boiled up inside of him that he takes out every once in a while. But he's not really that type of like, I'm gonna do this and whatever. And Amanda's also very like kind of like shy-ish. She's popular, of course, but she has a heart. That I feel would connect a lot better with Keith. And like, I don't know I didn't write the characters, I don't know everything, but just based on what I saw in the hour and 30 something minutes, that's my impression, that I would have preferred them ending up together. I mean, I'm glad that Keith I feel like this is real life. I feel like Keith and Watts, like, good for them. And I guess Amanda did learn her lesson. She's like, I'm going to be strong on my own. Good for her. But, I don't know. I'm not too convinced. Like I said, I prefer Some Kind of Wonderful. And he's like, I'm probably going to put these. I hope you're able to see them. This is Amanda, Keith, Watts, Andie, Blane, and Duckie. This is, the reason why I don't like Ferris Bueller's Day Off as much is because I was expecting Pretty in Pink. I was expecting Some Kind of Wonderful. Ferris Bueller's Day Off was okay. Like, I liked it, but a little bit. And then these I liked a lot. And I don't know. Like, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, it's about this student who has a lot of things, but he wants more freedom. He ditches school. He thinks he's like the coolest. He invites his friends over to get in trouble with him. And all these things happen. Then his friend is very scared of his dad, but at the end of... That's probably the only thing that I liked about the movie, that I really enjoyed, I should say, is that at the end, like, he stands up for himself and he's like, you know what, blah, 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 blah. I like that, but other than that, nah, I wasn't really feeling it. And Some Kind of Wonderful, I think it resonated a lot more with me because I guess the main character is a guy, and there are a lot of things that I didn't really understand. Like, I don't know, I just don't understand people sometimes. But I guess it's because I'm not their age, well, the age of the characters that they played back, like, during those times. You want to fit in, you want to do everything, like, to please other people, even though you don't realize, like, at first, but you do. And yeah, I'm sure I'm missing out, like, a few details, because the only movie that I rewatched was Some Kind of Wonderful. I watched it yesterday. I only watched these films once. I would have loved to rewatch Pretty in Pink, but I wanted to do this review before Risky Business because I watched Risky Business like a week ago, and I'm gonna do that one next. But yeah, I'm gonna do a little compare and contrast. But this one, I recommend it to anybody who likes, like, 80s movies. When I bought this, I actually made the mistake of thinking that Pretty in Pink was 16 Candles, because that's the movie that I was recommended by a friend like 6 years ago. It's like, 16 Candles is a funny movie, and I was like, okay, I'll watch it. And I thought, like, I don't know what happened in my brain that I read Pretty in Pink and I thought 16 Candles, probably because of her, the protagonist, who was supposed to play Amanda in Some Kind of Wonderful, but she ended up backing out because ostensibly she wanted more like adult roles, and obviously this kind of limits you to a teen audience. These are teen movies. Some like they do have some adultish elements, actually. I'm surprised, but I mean, it was the 80s. But I love the 80s. I love, like, I have to mention it, like, you know, like the Freddy Krueger and everything. It's not that Nightmare on Elm Street is the scariest movie for me. It's not the scariest series at all. But I love that thing that they had going on at school. And I know that there's a lot of, like, bullying that was not really talked about, and discrimination, blah blah blah, which I'm glad that things are getting better now. Great. But if we put that aside, I like the look, I like the way that they talked, and I don't know, I just didn't enjoy 80s movies a lot, and especially when they're like romantic comedy drama movies. That's like I said, that's what I was expecting from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But Ferris Bueller's Day Off just went on and on and on with the same thing over and over and over. And like, it was just this long shot of him living his wild life, which I couldn't relate to in any. I mean, at first I was like, okay, it's nice, but then it was kind of like boring. It's not a boring movie, like I said, but I wouldn't like watch it over and over again. I'm not reviewing Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I shouldn't give it a rating, but I am anyway. Rebellious me. I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. Pretty in Pink deserves 8 out of 10. And Some Kind of Wonderful deserves an 8.5 out of 10 in its category. I'm thinking, because I really did enjoy it, but there are other movies that I like better, so they cannot have like the same or lower ratings. So for that reason, and already 8 is already high, so 8.5, Some Kind of Wonderful. So one that I would recommend the most. Pretty in Pink is another classic. Very fun movies. If you love the 80s, you'll love these. Even Ferris Bueller's Day Off, at least once. Yeah, thank you for watching.